Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today, sit a while for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. An Ottawa Senator team that is doing pretty good this season. We are sitting atop the Eastern Conference right now with 18 points. And we have only one loss, which occurred against last place in the East, Florida Panthers. So we are going to be starting the month on the road, so to finish up that road trip that brought us in Florida. So we're going to be playing the first game against the Tampa Bay Lightning before we go back home for a couple games. So yeah, we still have Andre Mazzaros that's hurt right now. He should be back soon, which means that we're gonna send down probably Tim Gleason back down. He hasn't done much of anything, so we'll probably be looking into sending him back down. So let's take a look at the Lightning. So again, it's kind of a thematic with the Lightning. Both Florida teams tend to struggle, even though Tampa Bay made the playoffs a couple times, but lately it's been pretty tough for them as well. So they are 3-6 right now, which is good for 12th in the East. Oh, they don't have a full 23 people lineup, and they have Ty Wishart that is injured, so he's not playing. And then in net for Tampa Bay, it's Alex Old and Koshechkin, Paul Mara, Pavel Kubina, Kinraid. It's Jeff Kinraid, I think. Yep. Also Vananen, Marc-Andre Bergeron, Bryce Salvador, and Francis Bouillon on D. That's not all that great. Then Richie, Dana Tyrell, Yarko Ruutu, Karitonov, Peter Sechura, Damon Lanko, Nick Tarnowski, Eric Perrin, Vincent Lecavalier, Steven Stamkos, Brad Richards, and Rich Peverly. Alright, so the big three here. Stamkos is young, he's 18, so he's only a star and a half right now. But, you know, those two are pretty good, Lecavalier and Richards, and then there's really not a whole lot other than that in Tampa Bay, so it's probably going to be a tough season for them again this year. Alright, so we are about to face Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay with Ryan Miller in net for us and Vasily Koshechkin in net for the Lightning. And we start the month of November 2008 with a 4-1 win. Pretty good game. Oh dear God. So again, for everybody that thought that the shots on goal don't really need to be looked at or anything like that, you have another example here of it needing to be balanced, because we outshot Tampa Bay 62-6. Mark Streit was the first star of that game. He had 3 assists. Matt Stajan was the second star with a goal, and Alexander Radulov was the third star with an assist. So Tampa Bay actually scored first in the first period, but then Mike Fisher tied the game before the end of the period, assisted by Ryan Callahan and Chris Kelly. It was tied at 1 after 1. Bryce Salvador and Sheldon Souray fought in that period. Then in the second period, we took the lead with Brooks Laich scoring, assisted by Mark Streit, and it was 2-1 after 2. And then we scored 2 more goals in the third period. Matt Stajan scored from Martin Havlat and Mark Streit, and finally Jason Spezza scored on the power play from Alexander Radulov and Mark Streit, and it was a 4-1 affair in Tampa Bay with Ottawa the victor. Alright, so Randy Jones is available. He's been put on waivers quite a bit the last couple years. Brandon Prost in Edmonton is suspended. He's going to miss 7 games. Mike Camilleri extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal against Calgary. Alright, Eugene Melnyk is very happy with me. We went 10-1, including yesterday's game so far this season, which is pretty good. Andre Mazzaros is going to be ready very soon. And Atlanta players reinstating Team Kangaroo Court. So we haven't seen that one in a while, so looks like it got fixed. It was to the point where that was happening every month, but wait, no, that one wasn't happening every month. It was the helping the friend move thing that was happening every month. Was it every month? Yeah, I think it was every month. Or was it that one? Whoa. That was several months ago. I forget. Something was happening every month. Alright, so Derek Armstrong is gonna catch somebody stepping on the logo. Excuse me, my voice is failing me right now. That's better. Alright, so we are going back home in a couple days, and we're going to face the Caps and Alex Ovechkin. Jason Williams is hurt in Colorado. He's going to miss 8 months with a torn posterior cruciate ligament, the PCL. Surgery. That happened against the Sharks, so pretty much season over for Jason Williams. Strong night for Johan Franzen, who had a hat-trick against Vancouver. Pretty good. In that same game, Henrik Zetterberg had 4 assists. Also pretty good. Alright. Alright, and Andre Mazzaro's really close to be coming back. Alright. Trent Hunter is available. Yeah, I'm not going to pick him up. Alright, and we are about to face the Caps. So Washington's doing pretty good. They are 6-1-3 this season, which is good for 5th in the East. We have not played them so far, so let's take a look at who they have. Alright, so they do have an injury. Oh, it's Ovechkin that's hurt, so he may or may not play that game. Alright, so in net, it's an aging Olaf Kolzig, 38 years old, but they have a pretty well-established young goaltender, Tuukka Rask, as well. Carl Osner, Marty Yarventi, Nathan Page, Mike Green, Sean Hill, and Ryan Whitney on D. That's pretty decent. Andrew Brunette, Matt Ellis, Matt Pettinger, Alex Ovechkin, Nick Backstrom, Alex Burrows, Eric Fair, Boyd Gordon, Jeff Paul, Brian Sutterby, Steve Bernier. Is that Chris Bork? Yes, it is. Pat Dwyer, Alex Simon, and Jeff Alpern. That's a pretty decent team. I have to admit, it is a pretty decent team. They can make some damage here. They definitely can win against us. So it's going to be Tuukka Rask in net for Washington. We're going to Brian Elliott. Looks like Lindy Ruff is kind of alternating goaltenders, which they're both good. I'd rather Ryan Miller play a little bit more, but hey, if we win, we win, I guess. And we did. Wow. We shut Washington out 5-0. Pretty good game. We outshot Washington 37-23. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star of that game. He had a goal and an assist. Jason Spezza was the second star with 2 assists. And Sam Gagner was the third star with 2 assists as well. 17,835 people in attendance for this game. Pavel Datsyuk opened up the scoring in the first from Jason Spezza, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Sheldon Surrey scored from Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk, and then Joe Thornton from Patrick Eves and Mark Streit, and it was 3-0 after 2. And finally in the third period, Matt Unwick scored on the power play from Chris Kelly and Sam Gagner, and Zdeno Chara scored on the power play as well from Sam Gagner. It was 5-0. The final score. Alright, Chris Draper has reached 600 points in his career. So with a goal against Calgary, Chris Draper, 37 years old, 2.5 star player, and he's still in Phoenix. Scott Hartnell extends his point streak to 12 games with an assist against the Vancouver Canucks. And DJ King got cut stepping on the logo by Derek Armstrong. Fun stuff. Alright, so Andre Meszaros is ready to come back. We're going to put him back in the lineup. Alright, and Tim Gleason wasn't even used all that much, so you can go back. There you go. Alright, so we are about to play the Philadelphia Flyers, and it is apparently the favorite team of one of my new viewers, so yeah, he's gonna be a little sad to see that his Flyers are 5-6 so far this season. That's good for 12th in the East. Now let's take a look here at their lineup. Alright, so there's no injuries to speak of, so that's pretty much the best lineup they can. But yeah, it looks like it's been the story for the Flyers for most of my playthrough, is that they're loaded on offense, and they have shaky to OKD and no goaltending. So to be honest, it's probably true to a lot of Flyers teams over the last 20-30 years. And I'm saying that in all honesty or anything. I'm not poking fun at anybody or anything like that. Alright, so Jeremy Duchesne and Brent Johnson in net, so that's really not all that great. Yaroslav Modry is a really good defenseman, but he's 37, so he's kind of slowed down a little bit. Adam Pardy, Jeff Wojciechowski, Dwayne Zinger, Richie Regier, Mike Komisarek on the... that these are a little shaky. Not a lot of puck moving there, aside from Modry, I guess. Steve Downey, Mike Richards, Simon Gagne, Martin St. Louis. So the Flyers at least have St. Louis, which is a really good player. Rod Brennamore, Jeff Carter, Claude Giroux, Alexei Kegorodov, which we should recognize because he used to be a Ottawa Senator. Paul Gostad, Con Fraser... Daryl Powell, TJ Oshie, Yubasek, Matt Cook, and Maxim Sushinsky. That's a pretty good lineup. At least at forward. The D and the goaltending is not that great, but they have a pretty interesting offense, pretty diverse too. Alright, so Jeremy Duchesne is going to be in net for the Flyers, and we are going to Brian Elliott. And we won 3-0, so we managed to stop that interesting offense that the Flyers have. And we outshot them 41-18. Marian Hossa was the first star of that game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Jason Spezza was the second star with 2 assists. And Anton Volchenko was the third star with a goal. We had 16,783 people in attendance for this game. Marian Hossa was the first one to score a goal in that game. It was his 5th of the season from Pavel Datsyuk and Jason Spezza. And it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then nobody scored in the second period, but there were a bunch of penalties. And then in the third period, Sheldon Souris scored from Andre Meszaros and Marian Hossa, and then Anton Volchenkov from Marian Hossa and Jason Spezza. And 3-0 was our final score today. Scott Hartnell extends his point streak to 13 games with an assist against the Flames. All right, and we are now playing in Carolina against the Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes are 5-7-1 this season, so struggling a little bit. They are 11th in the East, and they are hoping that they can turn this around against us by playing on a home ice. Right, no injuries in Carolina, so in net it's Cam Ward and Steve Veliket. Chris Pronger is still there. Oh, yeah, he's slowed down. He's only a 2-star now. Danny Richmond. Is it Brian Rodney, I think? Yes, Brian Rodney, Thomas Pock, Brian Allen, Mike Weaver on the... Yeah, oof. That D is not scaring me too much. Pavel Dimitrov still there. Craig Adams, Andrew Ladd, Chris Terry, Jean-Guy Trudel, Radek Dvorak, Eric Stahl, Michael Nylander, Francis Lemieux, Zach Boychuk, Brandon Sutter, Dan Einout, David Steckel, and JP Vigier. Yeah, there's a couple interesting players for sure, but yeah, I can't see that lineup making the playoffs. That D is not very good. Alright, so it looks like Lindy Ruff is going to be trusting Brian Elliott more than Ryan Miller after all. And Brian Elliott is in net again, and he's going to face Steve Veliket. And we won 3-0. We haven't allowed a goal in 3 straight games. That's pretty impressive. Sorry about that, my throat again. Alright, so we have outshot Carolina 47-16. Joe Thornton was the first star of that game. He had a goal and an assist. Patrick Eves was the second star with an assist, and Chris Kelly was the third star with a goal. So Chris Kelly scored first in the first period from Anton Volchenkov and Joe Thornton, and then Joe Thornton scored his 10th from Mark Streit and Patrick Eves, and it was 2-0 Sens after one. Joe Thornton scoring quite a bit of goals this season. Joe Thornton is a really good player, but he's always been known more for his passing than his goal scoring. So it's kind of interesting to see him score so many goals. There was a fight. Brian Allen and Zdeno Chara fought. Jason Spezza scored in the second period on the power play from Matt Unwick. It was 3-0, and that's how this game ended. Nobody scored in the third, and another shutout victory for the Ottawa Senators, which I hope we're going to do again, because we're about to go play in Montreal against the Habs, and as you all know, I hope that we win. Nicholas Wallin is available on waivers. I have similar players like Tim Gleason and whatnot. Suspension for Dion Phaneuf. He's going to miss 5 games. Scott Hartnell's point streak ended at 13 games. It was held scoreless against the Avalanche. Aaron Spilo extends his goal streak to 5 games with 2 goals against the Red Wings. That's pretty interesting. Alex Ovechkin has a memorable game. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Rangers. Oh, alright, so Jean Perron lost his job in Tampa Bay, so he's not the coach there anymore. As we saw, they're kind of struggling. They are now 4-9-1. So Jean Perron was fired in Tampa Bay, and he's going to be replaced. Oh, ironically, he's being replaced by John Tortorella, who's going to be the coach now in Tampa Bay. Now, it's not the right time frame and everything of when he started to coach there or anything. I just think it's interesting when coaches or players end up on the teams that, or at least on one of the teams that they were a part of. All right. Right, about to play the Habs. They are pretty good. 8-3-1. That's good for 5th in the East. We have not played them yet, so let's take a look. Right, so Andrei Markov, as we saw, got hurt pretty bad, so he's still shelved. He's not going to be playing. Chris Higgins is also not going to be playing. He's hurt. And Teddy Purcell may or may not play. He has a playable injury. So in net, it's Yaroslav Halak and Carey Price. So François Beauchemin, Mathieu Schneider, Ronnie Sundin, Jack Johnson, Sami Lepisto, PK Subban, and Yoni Pitkanen on D. Pretty interesting D. Frolov, Higgins, Pacioretty, Steve Ott, Justin Williams, Stephen Wise, Derek McKenzie, Thomas Plekanec, Gilbert Bagulé, Louis Eriksson, Mike Ribeiro, Corey Larose, Teddy Purcell, and Rafi Torres. Yeah, that's a good team. Pretty good team. And they are our rival, and we're going to go and play in Montreal. We're going to have Brian Elliott in net, and he's going to face Carey Price. And we won 4-3. Alright. We can do this. We outshot Montreal 38-28 in that game. Joe Thornton was the first star with a goal and an assist. Justin Williams was the second star with 2 assists, and Mike Fisher was the third star with a goal. Montreal scored first in the first period, and then Joe Thornton scored from Mark Streit, and it was tied at 1 after 1. Then we went into the second period. Montreal scored again, took a 2-1 lead, and then we scored two straight goals. Mike Fisher from Scott Niedermayer and Chris Kelly. Then Jason Spitz on the power play from Alexander Radulov and Pavel Datsyuk. We were up 3-2, but before the end of the period, Louis Eriksson scored for Montreal and tied the game at 3. We went into the third period, and at 7:44, Brooks Like scored from Joe Thornton and Patrick Eves. It was 4-3, and that happened to be the game winner. Nobody else scored. Ooh, Martin Havlat got hurt. He's not getting a lot of points this season. Yeah, 2 points in 13 games. Yikes. 1 to 2 weeks left to the injury. You're going on the injured reserve. Let's recall somebody. Alright, so Nikita Filatov has 9 points. Okay. Okay. I think I'm gonna get Kaspar Dagevans up. He has good stats. He's only a 1-star player, but I don't have a whole lot of untapped talent down there. I mean, I have untapped talent, but not actual talent. So Kaspar's Dagevans, a fan favorite in Ottawa during his time there. I talked about it a little bit in a previous video. Alright. Jerome McGinley got 900 points in his career with 2 goals against the LA Kings. So 900 points, 31 years old, 3.5-star player. So still a lot of time for him to get points. Wes Walz played in his 1,250th game, and he's playing for Dallas as well. 38 years old, Wes Walz, 1.5-star player. No point in that game for him to celebrate. Open ice leads to a productive night for Brendan Morrow. In that same game, he had 4 assists. And a great night for Chris Campoli. With the Islanders, he had a goal and 4 assists against the Flyers. And there was no stopping Franz Nielsen in that same game. He had 3 goals and an assist. Alright, Kaspars, Dagevans wants... Yeah. How about you get 26 instead? Alright, and we are about to play against the Islanders. It's actually going to be a home and home against the Islanders. Brendan Shannon has obtained 750 assists in his career with an assist against the Buffalo Sabres. 39 years old, Brendan Shannon, still a star-and-a-half player. Aaron Spilo extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal against the Rangers. Alright, and we are about to face the Islanders at home, in a home and home. Islanders are doing alright. They are 7-6-2. That's good for 7th in the East. We have not played them this season. Let's take a look at their lineup. Alright, so Frans Nielsen had a great game, but now he's hurt, so he's not going to be playing against us. So in net, it's still Luongo and DiPietro, so pretty solid there. Ryan Caldwell, Andrew Ference, Chris Campoli, Mickey Dupont, Dick Tarnstrom, Niskala on D. Yeah, that's a little... Yeah. Josh Bailey, Blake Como, Todd Bertuzzi, Patrick Tarson, Thomas Sorovi, Vili Peltonen, Mikhail Grabowski, Frans Nielsen, Robert Nielsen, Victor Hubel, Jean-Pierre Dumont, Cal Okposo, Maxime Talbot, Zygmunt Palffy, and Michael Ryder. So Palffy is still with the Islanders. Now is Hubel still doing pretty good? Yeah, 12 points in 15 games. Alright, so let's see if we can beat them. We are on home ice. We have the advantage. Brian Elliott in net for us. Roberto Luongo in net for the Islanders. And we won 1-0 in overtime or shootout. Oh no, it's in overtime, I think, because it says that Luongo allowed a goal. Alright, so... yeah, it was in overtime. So we outshot the Islanders 43-18 in that one. Roberto Luongo was the first out of the game despite the loss. He made 42 saves. Vili Peltonen was the second star with no points, and Joe Thornton was the third star with an assist. 17,223 people in attendance for this game. And the hero in this game was Mark Streit, who scored in overtime from Joe Thornton and Marian Hossa, and that was it. Obviously. Alright, 1-0 game, and Nick Foligno improves at center. Which he's played a little bit of center in Columbus. Not with the Sens, though. I mean, in real life, obviously. But yeah, Foligno did play some center with the Blue Jackets. He plays more like a winger. I think he fits more as a winger, personally, but maybe that's just me. Julien Vauclair is on waivers. Red light stays on for Martin Herat, who had a hat-trick against the Ducks. Alright. And Rick Nash is suspended, and he's going to miss 7 games. Now that's going to hurt Columbus. It's one of their better players. Alright, and we are about to play the Islanders again. Obviously, I'm not going to look at their lineup. We just looked at that. They are now 7-6-3, and they are 6th in the East. Brian Elliott in net for us. Roberto Luongo in net for the Islanders again. And another shutout. Wow, that's crazy. We won 5-0 this time. And we outshot the Islanders 59-17. Jason Spezza was the first star. He had 2 goals and an assist. Marianosa was the second star with 2 assists. And Zdeno Chara was the third star with 2 assists as well. Pavel Datsyuk opened up the scoring in the first period from Marianosa and Jason Spezza, and it was 1-0 after 1. Then in the second period, we scored 3 straight goals. Jason Spezza from Zdeno Chara, and then Jason Spezza again. It was his 10th of the season on the power play from Chris Kelly and Zdeno Chara, and Mark Streit from Marianosa. 4-0 Sens after 2. And finally, we scored another goal. It was Joe Thornton from Mike Fisher and Ryan Callahan, and 5-0 was the final score. Brandon Prost is back from suspension. Back in the Oilers lineup. Oh, Jaromir Jagr is hurt. And he's day-to-day. And we got the news twice. They really wanted to make sure we knew that Jagr was hurt. Are we playing the Pens soon? Oh, we are, but he's gonna be fine by then. Alright, good game for Joe Pavelski. So with the Sharks, he had a hat-trick against the Blackhawks. Memorable night for Mike Ribeiro, who had 3 goals and 2 assists against St. Louis. Alright, and we are about to play at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers. Rangers are struggling. They are 8-11-1, but they are 9th in the East. So even with their losing record, they could potentially make it to the playoffs at this current rate. Alright, so the first game against them, let's see what they have. Well, they do have Mark Stahl and Doug Waite hurt and on the injured reserve, so those two are not going to play. Oh, Mark Stahl has something that sounds very painful. He has a ruptured testicle, so can't say that I have had that in my life, but I can only imagine how painful that must be. Alright, and on the active roster, Tim Jackman may or may not play. He has a playable injury. So in net, it's Henrik Lundqvist and Al Montoya. So the King is pretty much reached potential at this point. Aaron Rome, Fedor Tyutin, Sergei Zubov, Thomas Caberly, Dan Girardi, Dennis Weidman, and Steve Stais on D. That's not too bad of a D. Joey Crabb, Nigel Dawes, Laurie Korpikoski, Curtis Glencross, Alexander Korolyuk, Tim Jackman, Warren Peters, right? Yeah. Matt Artigan, Jonathan Chichu, Thomas Fleischman, Alex Kovalev, Fernando Pisani, and Alexander Sharpanov. So yeah, it's a little tough for the Rangers up front. So they're kind of backwards to the Flyers, really. The forwards are really not all that great, but they have an OKD and some good goaltending. Alright, are we going to be able to play and win in New York? Now, historically, the Sens at Madison Square Garden are usually pretty good in real life. And we won 3-1. We outshot the Rangers 63-17. Joe Thornton was the first star with a goal and an assist. Nigel Dawes was the second star with a goal. And Zdeno Chara was the third star with an assist. So Joe Thornton opened up the scoring in the first from Patrick Eves, and it was 1-0 Sens at that point. Then in the second period, we have Brooks Laik, who scored his 5th from Joe Thornton and Jason Spezza. And then the Rangers tied the game, scored and reduced the lead by 1, and we were up 2-1 after 2. And then finally, Ryan Callahan scored in the third period from Mike Fisher and Zdeno Chara. 3-1 is our final score today in New York. And we're facing the Rangers again in a couple games, but we're playing the Abs first in between. Joe Pavelski extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had 2 goals against Nashville. We haven't really heard about Martin Havlat getting better anytime soon. Good game for Stephen Weiss before playing against us. He had a hat-trick against Carolina. And Chuck Kabasu in Calgary is suspended. He's going to miss 5 games. Alright, playing against Montreal. So we beat them in Montreal earlier this month. Montreal right now is 12-4-1. That's really good, and it's good for 4th in the East. Sadly for them, we are better than them, so they are still 9 points behind us for the division lead. Alright, so we have played them already. Carey Price is going to be in net for Montreal. Brian Elliott is still going to be our goaltender. And we won 2-0. Wow, I think Brian Elliott had like, what, 5 shutouts this month alone. It's pretty crazy. We outshot Montreal 41-13 in that one. Ryan Callan was the first star. He had 2 assists. Carey Price was the second star despite the loss. He had 39 saves. And Matthew Schneider was the third star without any points. 20,498 people in attendance for that game against our rival. So Mark Streit scored the first goal of the game in the first from Ryan Callan and Zdeno Chara. It was 1-0. Then there was a fight between Ryan Callan and Rafi Torres. And then in the third period, Mike Fisher scored from Ryan Callan and Chris Kelly. And 2-0 was our final score in Ottawa. Christian Herhoff extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and 2 assists against Atlanta. Dion Phaneuf is back in the lineup in Calgary. Ryan Smith has played in 1,000 games in his career. Yeah, and he celebrated with a goal and an assist against Detroit. 32 years old, Captain Canada, 2.5-star player. So no missed time for Washington's Dmitry Bykov, who didn't get suspended. And Martin Avlat is starting to heal. Right, so we have 3 games left here in November. Martin St. Louis has recorded 600 points with 2 assists against Buffalo. So 33 years old, Martin St. Louis playing in Philly, 3.5-star player. Jeff Carter has a memorable game in that same game. He had a hat-trick. Dynamic passing leads to productive night for Brian Giunta, who had 4 assists against the Islanders. Strong night for Brian Rolston in that same game. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals. And Avlat is almost back. And we are about to host the New York Rangers, who are now 9-12-1. But it's still good for 8 in the East. Alright, Henrik Lundqvist is going to be in net for the Rangers, and Brian Elliott is going to be in net for us in that game. Another shutout. We won 4-0. That's good. Oh my god. Alright, so yeah. So we outshot the Rangers 55-4. So we allowed 4 shots on goal the entire game. Mark Streit was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Zdeno Chara was the second star with 2 assists. And Joe Thornton was the third star with a goal. We had 18,282 people in attendance for this game. Alright, so nobody scored in the first. Then in the second period, Joe Thornton scored from Brooks Laich and Mark Streit. And then Jason Spezza from Anton Volchenkov. And then Mike Fisher scored his 5th from Zdeno Chara and Mark Streit. It was 3-0 Sens after 2. And then in the third, Mark Streit scored on the power play from Zdeno Chara and Pavel Datsyuk, and it was 4-0 at that point. There was a fight at the end of the game. Zdeno Chara and Tim Jackman dropped the gloves. Probably because the Rangers were so frustrated for not being able to do anything. And Nick Foligno converts to left wing. Alright, 2 games left. In 5 days, we're going to be hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs. Alright, and Martin Havlat is ready to come back, I believe, is what they said. That is what they said. But he has to wait 2 more days. Alright, open ice leads to a productive night for Rob Scuderi, who had 4 assists against Carolina. Wow. Rob Scuderi playing for the Panthers. Alright, Havlat comes back. Sadly, Doug Evans go back down. Alright, and we are about to host the Leafs. No further action needed for Philadelphia's Kegorodov. So Alexei Kegorodov is not suspended with the Flyers. Good game for Paul Stastny with the Blue Jackets. He had a hat trick against Phoenix. Ooh, so the Devils are struggling, and Mike Sullivan might lose his job. So they are 8-12-1. Alright, and we have a trade proposal from the LA Kings who want to trade us Andrew Campbell for Sam Gagner. I don't think so, buddy. Alright, so Toronto is in town, and probably a lot of their fans too. If you follow the NHL a little bit, you should know that usually when Toronto plays in Ottawa, there's a lot of blue in the stands, because the tickets are a lot cheaper in Ottawa than they are in Toronto. So when we host the Leafs, it doesn't always feel like a home game. Alright, so we are 1-0 against Toronto this season. We did win 7-2 in Toronto back in October. Let's see if we can beat them on home ice as well. Ty Conklin is going to be in net for Toronto. We are going to Brian Elliott. Why not? He has like 43 shutouts this month or something. And we won 5-3. So we outshot Toronto 46-21. Marianosa was the first star. He had 2 assists. Eric Cole was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Mark Streit was the third star with a goal and an assist. 16,073 people in attendance for that game. Toronto scored first in the first period, and they actually were leading after 1. Then we tied the game up in the second period with Matt Stajan scoring from Sheldon Surrey and Andre Mizaros. Then Toronto took the lead again. They were up 2-1. And then we tied it again with Mark Streit scoring his 10th from Brooks Laich and Marianosa, tied at 2 after 2. Then Scott Niedermayer scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Marianosa, and then Jason Spezza from Mark Streit and Pavel Datsyuk. We were up 42. Then Nick Antropov scored for Toronto to bring them back to within 1, but then Jason Spezza scored from Zdeno Chara. 5-3 was the final score in this Ontarian affair. Oh, Thornton is day-to-day for 5 days. Yeah. We're good. We good. Right, Dustin Joner, not picking that guy up. Can't say that I remember hearing about him. Nathan Horton has a good game. He had a goal and 4 assists against the Rangers. Right, and the last game of the month for us is on the road, where we're going to be playing against the New York Islanders. So we already played them twice this month, and it was 2 shutout victories against them. So obviously we're 2-0 against the Islanders this season. They are now 8-12-3. That is good for 11th in the East. Right, Brian Elliott in net for us. Rick DiPietro in net for the Islanders. And we won 7-1, so we went with a perfect month in November of 2008, and we are now 21-1. What a record. So we outshot the Islanders 51-18. Ryan Callahan was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Joe Thornton was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Patrick Eves was the third star with a goal. Pavel Datsyuk opened up the scoring in the first on the power play from Zdeno Chara, and then the Islanders tied the game, but then Ryan Callahan gave us the lead from Joe Thornton, and it was 2-1 Sens after 1. Joe Thornton scored his 15th of the season in the second period from Ryan Callahan, and then Patrick Eves scored from Mike Fisher and Brooks Laich, and it was 4-1 after 2. And then in the third period, Sheldon Souris scored from Ryan Callahan, then Jason Spezza scored on the power play from Mark Streit and Zdeno Chara, and then Martin Havlat scored from Marian Hossa and Nick Foligno. 7-1 is the final score. Chuck Kobasu is back from suspension in Calgary, back in the lineup. No further discipline for Buffalo's Derek Roy, not suspended. Sidney Crosby extends his point streak to 12 games with an assist against the Devils. At night to remember for Yevgeny Malkin, who's back in the lineup after having a pretty bad injury. 4 goals and an assist against the Devils. Alright, and one more click to make it to December 1st. Alright. Yeah, Elliott better be the goaltender of the month. Alright, so Crosby and Elliott are the players of the month. So Crosby has 49 points in 23 games. Brian Elliott has 16 wins, 8 of which are shut by shutouts. So every other game he plays, he shuts out the opposition. That's crazy. All right, so we are still first in the East, but Pittsburgh is only 2 points behind us, so that's not a guarantee. Even being 21-1, we're not even guaranteed to finish first in the East. That's pretty crazy. That's just to say how strong Pittsburgh is as well. Now, if we look in the West, we have Nashville first. They do have a pretty good team. Anaheim, Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, San Jose, Phoenix, and St. Louis. So there's a few new teams in there, like Phoenix, and Minnesota has not always been doing all that hot, so that's pretty nice to see. Now we're gonna look at our stats, and with a record like we have, I'm ready to bet we have quite a few guys that are more than a point per game. Alright, so Spezza is 31-21, Mark Streit is 27-22, so Mark Streit did bounce back, thankfully. Joe Thornton is 24-22. Pavel Datsyuk is 23-22. Hossa is 21-22. Then it drops down after that. Alright, and finally we are going to look at the league leaders. The best goal scorer is Joe Pavelski with 21 goals. Joe Thornton is 5th with 15, and Jason Spezza is 8th with 14. The best passer is Sidney Crosby with 32 assists. And then he's also the best scorer with 49 points. Spezza is 4th with 31, so he's 18 points behind Crosby, so he has a lot of work to do if he wants to catch him, unless Crosby gets hurt or something. Alright, that's pretty much it here, I believe. So again, we had a really good month. Looks like we're gonna be playing maybe a little bit more at home than on the road in December. We're gonna be facing a lot of different teams too. So yeah, I think the era where you're playing 55 games against the Leafs per season or something like that, I think that era's over. I think it's a little bit more of a balanced schedule now, thank God. So we are going to go ahead and save the game. And we are in pretty good position, but we cannot rest too much here because Pittsburgh is breathing down our necks. Alright, so that's it, folks. As usual, I do want to thank you for tuning in, and if you've liked the video, feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff, and until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.